Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. My guest is Isabel Donadio, and I am so excited to have you here. Just let everybody know, preface this that you are also a guest on the Business on the Vine TV show that is being released in March of 2025.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I am too. I'm excited to see our background because we didn't actually sit in a vineyard, so we'll have to see what it looks like.
Yeah, but you know what? It was a beautiful setup. I love the studio that you had, but I also look forward to seeing what background we get.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm still waiting for it myself, but I'm excited. But I'm glad to have you back here today. And listen, for you watching, you want to make sure that you watch the TV show because we're good. We're not talking about exactly the same things. We're going to talk a little bit different angle today. And so here's what I want to talk about. I've been thinking about you all morning and going, okay, so first of all, we've said this 1,000 times, we're both beauty queens. We're both beauty queens. But I want to talk more about your background. When I first met you, before you and David were married, you were doing, I can't even think of the name of it because it has a bad name too that everybody uses for it. You were an expert in a CRM. And that's how I know you. I mean, it's literally like, oh, she's the CRM girl. Right. And so I don't know the backstory on how that happened, number one, and then the transition into you owning Top Talent Agency.
Yeah, so how I kind of fell into that initially was I was working alongside David. His company was paying my company. I eventually worked my way up to being an event producer, which meant I did a lot of the negotiations with the hotels, which also meant I ended up working really closely to the design team to do the websites, creating the web forms. And I had my certification through Keep, formerly known as Infusionsoft.
Confusionsoft, that's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I became known as, the CRM person, the event producer person because of that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to expand more in my knowledge because I also naturally had a love for communications and just talking with people and learning their life story. And so I formed a joint venture with David in forming Top Talent Agency, where we focused on show production, book publishing, and getting media for our clients.
Right. Right. Okay. So I mean, I watched that, of course, as part of watching that whole relationship for, you guys falling in love and getting married and all that good stuff. But it was also blossoming a business too. So, this is something that's kind of cool when we talk about, heard it through the grapevine, on Business on the Vine is that, sometimes these other things blossom, right, in what happens. And I think that that's incredible. But okay, so let's go back to Top Talent. So why? Because I know he's real clear about this. Like you own Top Talent Agency, and he owns something else. I don't even know what it is he owns.
Yes, Icon Builder Media.
That's right, Icon Builder Media. And but why have you kept this so separate? For those that are watching and saying, "Well, I work with my spouse too, and we're all in, right?
Yeah.
We're all in, and we're all under one umbrella." Why have you decided to keep this separate from a business perspective?
I think it's really important that the same way you have clear destinations for the people that work within your company, it's also equally important to have those distinctions for people that you joint venture with and you do business alongside. So yes, even though David and I are married and we do work together, we do have our respective businesses. David focuses more on the branding, working directly with the client to develop the visions because that is his role as president of Top Talent Agency. Mine is to work, I do public speaking. I do engage with the clients directly. We'll spend time together. We'll form a true friendship. But I also take David's ideas and notes and work alongside with the client. And I'm the go-between between the client and the team that helps execute the idea. So if we're doing a show, if we're doing a book cover, if we're getting them in the media, I know exactly what they'll need. And I know how to communicate that with my client because also, as we know, some people articulate in a pleasant manner with someone that they're new and engaging with. So when it
Right.
comes to,
Right.
having a paying client and having people that I know can be very demanding in a very different way for what they need to get the job
Right.
done correctly, I'm more the mediator and go between for that.
Well, and I think that's smart because when I look at this, from a business perspective, I mean, even I have it, Vicky, right? She's my go-between between all my other vendors, right?
Yeah.
So they aren't calling me and saying, "Hey, look at the website. Do you think it's cute? Do you not think it's cute? Hey,
Yeah.
what is this? What is that?" And it just bogs me down and it derails me all the time. And so she knows what I want and she's my operations director, right? And so if it gets to the point where she's like, "Jen, I'm not sure what you want here. Can you take a look?" Then I'm hearing it from her and not from 70 different places. So I
Yes.
love that. My daughter used to work at a place called Tier 10, and they did something very similar where she was the top of the tier, and all the different tiers were social media and graphics and ads and this, that, and the other. And she was the person the client communicated with. And it was so great because if someone didn't want social media, she didn't call up that person. But if they needed the color branding kit thing that it's called, right? She provided it.
I just like I'm like, what's the color code for this?
Right, right.
And they're like, it's the IE hashtag.
Yeah, no, I have no idea, but Vicky does. Vicky does, and she just gets it all out to them. Yeah. So I think that's really smart, to be able to serve your clients together, yet, independently as a different company. And I know it's important for you as individuals to feel that you have control over some piece of it, that one of you is not working for the other, but working with the other.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know
makes everything easy for tax purposes, for on paper. So it's not just, oh, you're a couple and you work in the same company.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like we're being lumped together and that we do the exact same things when it's completely the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. And Brad and I had that, when I was in the mortgage business years ago. For 17 years, we worked together, but I was the talking head and he was the back office. And it worked really, and even though we were under one umbrella, it worked really well because, people knew exactly, don't call me for stuff because he's the one who does all the magic. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
You 1000% get it.
Yeah, I love it. So as you think back on, making this transition, because someone watching might be thinking, "Hey, I, was thinking about pulling my wife in or my husband into my business, and these are things that they want to hear about." What are some of the mistakes that you made, or the struggles that you had when you were deploying this?
Not enough time to make clear communication and each other, because those are two different things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It can be daunting to, have the working relationship and then trying to set up for date night. But then in the middle of date night, it's like, oh wait, did you send so-and-so that invoice? You didn't send the invoice? We can't go to date night now. We have to go do this. You have to turn the car around, you have to go back. And it just puts a whole damper on the whole evening. And that's a bit of an exaggeration to prove the point of, if you don't have everything established, if you don't have a good working relationship before actually working together, it's gonna set up for some very tense nights, evenings, and meals.
But just in relationship, just the, the energy in the house, right? It starts to change.
Yes.
And look, I mean, we definitely experience that. My husband's, and well, sometimes when I'm on a podcast, I think, gosh, I speak really loud, and I'm not actually a loud speaker, but he would speak so loud that while I'm talking to someone, I'm like, yeah. And I'm doing all this pointing, and this is before Zoom, right? But I'm like, shut up. And I'm like, hello, like doing all this. And then I didn't like him for a day. And he didn't like me, and and then finally we said, maybe we need to have different offices because you speak really loud and I don't, and except on a podcast apparently.
Yeah, we're on opposite ends of the houses, and sometimes, actually most of the time, David does a lot of his work from his phone. So he's checking his email, he's checking his messages
Roaming.
from all over the place. But he's also a really big sports fanatic. So sometimes he'll yell, be like, "Oh my gosh!" And for half a second, I'm like, "Did I forget something? Did someone drop the ball on the project? What was going on?" And he's like, "No, so-and-so got injured." I'm like,
yeah. Right.
Okay.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So
took a year off my life with that panic, but okay.
Yeah, right. So it's about communication, effective communication, and
Yes.
not just assumptive delegation.
Mhm.
I'll call it assumptive
Yes.
delegation, right? It's like,
No,
hey,
I like it. That's good. I might have to use it.
yeah, assumptive delegation. But it's also about setting boundaries, right?
Mhm.
And so often business owners, lack the ability to set boundaries, whether they're working with their spouse or not. It has nothing to do with it. Just setting boundaries. What do you do to set boundaries in your practice to ensure that you have an integrated lifestyle? I don't like balance, so I don't like using
Mhm.
that word, so I don't think it exists. So what do you do to have an integrated lifestyle, and what kind of
Huh.
boundaries are you setting in your practice?
So I'm not typically in my work chair most times before 9 a.m. Now I'll
Mhm.
check things on my phone, but if I have to take the kids to school, I'll go through my morning routine. I'll do my makeup. I'll do
Yeah,
whatever I do in the mornings.
yeah,
But then at 9 o'clock, I'm in my computer chair, and that's when I'm officially working. But of course, I'm checking my email. So if anything came up while I was asleep, I'll answer it and I'll have that taken care of. And then usually around in the evenings, David and I will actually go to the gym together, but we'll work out separate. So he's doing his thing, I'm doing mine. We'll come home, we'll maybe do a check-in of what needs to be prepped for tomorrow. But usually around 7 o'clock, I'll just ask him just flat out, can we quit for today? Or do we have to go over anything else?
right,
Because there's always that one thing that you're just sitting on, you're just waiting for the right time to bring up. It's like, can we
right.
just quit for today? We're like, okay, we can quit for today. It's like, okay, ugh. So I can just relax on the couch and we can just be David and Isabel. When we have our kids, we can watch TV, we can go out, and that's something we don't have to worry about anymore.
Yeah.
But those are
Oh,
kind of the boundaries that we had to have set up. But during COVID, we had to make it like as soon as both of us walk into the bedroom, we're not talking shop. You can't
yeah.
ask me anything. But there has been at least one occasion where David stood like his feet were outside the bedroom door and he
Actually,
tried to
he's
talk
told
to
me
me
this
when I was
story.
in the bedroom.
Yeah, he told me this story. I'm not in the room yet. I'm not in the room yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. When you think about setting those boundaries, and 7 o'clock rolls around or whatever time it is, and you've made the
Mhm.
decision that the door is closing. Look, I several years ago, I actually had a sign that I put on my own office door, and I flipped it, open, closed, open, closed. And once
I
I
like
was
it.
closed, I didn't go back in. But that doesn't mean I didn't answer emails and all of a sudden have a conversation with a client. I'm roaming the halls of my house and all that. What have you done to prevent, and I don't do that anymore, but what have you done to prevent that? Oh, well, we'll stay open a little later. Oh, I'll do this. Oh, I'll do that. What do you tell your clients, and what's the reception, I guess would be the word, is what is the reception of the clients who say, look, um, you know, if you do that? I mean, I don't know how you handle that, but yeah.
I think the way that we mainly handle that is how we gauge their level of urgency. So
Mhm.
it looks like they just need a quick response. Okay, we'll send out a quick response. They just need a link. Okay, we'll just get them the link because especially if it's in the evening time, so they're not sitting there and they're not getting a response from us. But if it sounds like they need a phone call and it gets later in the evening, also depending on, where they are in the world, what their time zone is. So, okay, it sounds like we need to have a phone call. Let's do tomorrow. Let's do, do we need to do it tomorrow? Do we need to do it next week? What time do you want to hop on the phone? Because this isn't just a text back and forth conversation. This is a face-to-face
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of more of how we handle that. Is just what is their level of urgency and what do they need right away?
Yeah. And are they receptive to, hey, you know what,
Yes.
I've closed down for the day. We can have this conversation tomorrow. Because I think this is something that business owners are afraid of. I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not. I've got a strategy that I use, but they, sometimes business owners are saying, it's about customer experience and customer service. And I have to jump when they say it's about being on demand and not in demand. Right.
Yeah.
So are you finding, I just want to ask this question so that someone listening can go, but I might lose business if I don't respond.
I have not lost business because I said, hey, let's have a call tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or I just send a very short response with whatever information that they were trying to obtain from me. I've never lost business by doing that.
Yeah. Okay, good. And I haven't either. And by the way, well, I shouldn't say I haven't. I probably have lost one or two in 40 years, but they weren't my client. if they can't understand my boundaries and can't understand that I can't be available 24/7, then they're probably not my client.
So some people will come to you with like their last, say, $5,000. They'll say, make me a success. And they'll put a lot of pressure on you. If
Yeah.
that's their last $5,000, I'm sorry, I don't want them as a client,
Yeah.
because that is going to be so much expectation of me. And if I don't go the extra mile just because it was their last amount, then I'm going to now have an upset client. I'm going to have someone that's in the world, feeling
Talking for them.
negatively about me, potentially talking negatively about me. But if I'm working with a client who already has an established business, they see the potential of what it means to work with us at Top Talent Agency. Yes, absolutely. Let's see how we can, make both of us very happy in this exchange,
Yeah,
because
I think
at
that's
the end of the day, it's not just a client. This is someone that is going to, in a way, be another one of my bosses, because
yes.
I have expectations for all the deliverabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we need to hear that as business owners too, is that, if we look at everyone as just a client in a transaction, as opposed to, a customer that we can serve and create an experience so that they can
Yes.
create a revolving door of opportunities in the future for us, whether it's coming back for more or
Mhm.
sending colleagues and friends and family. That's how we need to be looking at each one of these, and having this adult conversation in the beginning of the relationship to say, here's how it works.
Yes,
Can you work
absolutely.
within that? Yeah, I think that's super powerful. Okay, so moving forward, Top Talent Agency, I know you do quite, actually, let's talk about exactly what you do, because I know there's been a little shift in some of it. I know it was heavily on publishing, which I just wrote the foreword for a book that's coming out with you. I can't think of the name of it though. Genius something.
Oh goodness.
I know there's a couple versions of it, yeah, but I just wrote the foreword for one of them. So publishing, but I know that's not on the back burner, but it's not the front burner as much as it used to be. A lot of media, yes, media print and media television, correct?
Yes.
What am I missing that you're doing? Because you were doing podcasting a little bit, you were doing some TV shows. What are you still doing, and what are you looking to do?
Yeah, so for what was at the forefront for many years was book publishing. We still do that. We still love, having those agreements and deals with clients. Something that kind of has taken a bit more of a precedent lately has been obtaining media for our clients. So we have conversations with media in California, New York, to get them on billboards, be in the news, have them displayed as an expert on what is hot in the news right now. But something else that's slowly creeping to the forefront is we're doing more TV shows for our clients, and we're might be obtaining our own channel. So
Yeah.
that way, not only are our clients having these shows done, but they'll actually have a place that can be streamed online anywhere in the world, for people to watch and digest their content.
That's awesome. And I know where that's coming from, but I'll be quiet on that for now. I know where that stems from. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. I think that'll be really good because, one of the things, I mean, you're excellent at making sure that everything runs smoothly and that things are on time and that, the right backgrounds are there and, have such a great eye for detail. And David is such a good director. He's so good.
We have a great partnership, and
Yeah.
I definitely don't think that Top Talent Agency would have reached the level of success that it has in the short time that it has without David
Yeah.
and his experience.
Well, I have to say, I don't think that that icon maker builder,
Media.
icon builder would be where it's at without you because
Oh,
he doesn't pay attention to the detail like you do. So don't sell yourself short there, girl. Right. I think it's a perfect, match made in heaven for business. I really do. So I'm excited about the fact that this is going to be coming up for TV shows. So someone who's listening to this is saying, hey, I've kind of dabbled or thought about this TV show. What are some of the things they should be thinking about? One, why? I mean, I do a TV show. I have my why. But why should someone be thinking about a TV show in a brick and mortar business or an online business that isn't, a coach, a speaker, an author, just a business owner that says, hey, maybe do I need a TV show? And, what am I going to gain from it? And why should I do it?
Back in the day, people would make decent money doing keynote talks, where these rooms would be filled with massive amounts of people that would just sit there and be hungry for people's content. But now everything's done on the phone, everything's done online. So if you want to reach a wider audience, if you want to be able to duplicate yourself and even put out your sound bites that'll really bring people in, you have to go into media. You have to have some kind of way of communication. Even if you don't have a show, which it definitely helps to capture massive amounts of content, at least be vocal on social media. Have videos. Don't just post pictures. Post, 10, 20, 30-second videos of you just giving one piece of good advice. Put in the caption, hey, this is just one part of a series called blah, blah, blah. Here's the website for more information. That is going to help you with your conversions exponentially because everyone's on their phone, everyone's online. Granted, we're still meeting in person, but that is just a new way to reach a massive amounts of audience.
Yeah, I love that. And so, if you're looking to increase your revenue, this is what you do, right? This is what you do. And we are binge watchers, and I can give you just yesterday, Brian, I don't know what it is with me lately, but I'm tired at 8:30. I think I have to shift my baby schedule, right, for myself, because I'm tired at 8:30 and I'm up at 3:30. Because I've already had 6 hours or 9 hours or 7 hours of sleep, right? And I'm like, oh, I can't stand this, right? But so now what's been happening is I've been binge watching. I can't sleep. I'm going to binge watch, right? Because I don't want to read because then I fall asleep again and then I'm up again anyway. But and I said to my husband last night, I said, I'm so bored now. There's no more binge watching that I want to watch. I've watched all the movies I can watch. I watched all the things do, right? And so I'm craving more and more content and not finding it in traditional places like Netflix and Paramount and Apple TV and whatever. So we all need these outlets. So I feel like it's not even saturated. I don't feel like it's a saturated environment whatsoever.
No. Yeah. There's so many things to still be watched and absorbed. So if someone is sitting on an idea thinking, oh, well, someone else might already have it. So what?
If and you have a different angle.
I will go on Instagram and I'll spend at least 10 minutes just scrolling through videos and I may hear 3 different people talking about the same topic.
Yes.
But they're all reaching their own audience.
Yeah.
You can even take a sound bite or a quote from someone that you admire who published a book 30 years ago and put it into a little 10-second video and post it. There's a high chance because such a young audience is on social media that they've never heard it before and they'll think it's yours.
Right. Well, like Les Brown, right? People are like, you don't know Les Brown, you don't know Tony Robbins. Are you kidding me? But we're, we're in the world. So, some people are like, who's that? I'm writing it down right now. Right.
And some people are just now learning about what is outside their community, what is outside their county. Meanwhile, some of us have traveled around the world twice and have had to renew their passports twice.
Yeah.
There's so much to still be out there. So if you're sitting on an idea thinking, oh, someone else has already done it, so what? Take a piece of that and add something new to it. Now that's your content.
Yeah, I call it genizing, right? I genize something, right?
I love that.
Genize it, right? I take something and I go, hey, I learned that, and then I know this, and then I remember that, and so I'm going to make it, customize it and create a DNA that fits, my vernacular and my audience with the same content from different places. No one said anything new. It's how we're saying things that makes it new. And I love that. I absolutely love that. All right. Any parting thoughts that you can think of for anything that's on your mind for the business owner who's watching and listening and saying, what are some other nuggets that I could harvest from Isabel today?
There are so many different voices online. And it can be kind of confusing because some of those voices can be contradicting to each other. What is so important when you go into starting your own business, creating your own show, trying to find your audience, is that you have to be able to distinct what parts and pieces ring true to you. You have to be able to have your own voice in a solid and confident manner, because at the end of the day, someone's going to be paying you their hard-earned money, and they're entrusting you to help them achieve their goals. And if you don't feel confident in doing that, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for a while until you are able to find your voice. You may have to go through 2 or 3 evolutions. I went through several in the span of 7 years. So if you are not willing to put in the hard work and time to find out who you are, now is a fantastic time to start, because it is never too late. It doesn't matter if you're in your teens, your 20s, your 40s, or 80s. There is always a great opportunity for you to be able to establish your foothold in the world.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Grape drop. Clump of grape drop. Right.
I like it. That's good.
I'm going to drop that clump of grape. I probably have to get like a fuzzy clump of grapes that I could use to do a grape drop.
There you go.
See how innovation works? It just comes out of everywhere. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again, Isabel, for joining us and for, lending us this wisdom that you have about what's coming forward, and just the simplicity of it, I think, is what attracts me to what you all do. It just seems so simple and easy. And I know there's some other pieces that are difficult and complicated. I work with you both, and I know that there's work behind all of it, but it's just the ease at which you deliver that I think is so powerful. So I would just say, if you're watching today and listening today, reach out to Isabel. It's isabeldonadio.com. You can reach out to her and find out a little bit more about what they do. And I promise you, there'll be no pressure. We've known each other for about 7 or 8 years now, and I'm just now working with you.
Yes. I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much for having me. I always love our conversations, because I know that sometimes I forget what I know. And questions that you ask are so well done. It's like, oh yeah, I do know this. Oh yeah, I can share it from this angle. Oh, here's a different way that I can say the same thing that I've been saying for years. You do so much as a host that I'm blown away, and I completely admire you. So thank you so much for having me. And I know that the audiences that are listening to you, whether it's my episode or someone else's, they're going to get some great information out of it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. Well, again, thank you for joining us today, Isabel, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the vine, so keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.